Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's City Council study session for the City of Casa Grande. And I think the first item on the agenda tonight is the STEAM team.
STEAM team.
Yes, the
STEAM team, that's science, technology,
Agriculture.
and no, it's arts and math. So, you guys ready? Okay, well, come on up. Thank you for being here.
Some of Casa Grande's best.
So we wanted to introduce ourselves once again for any newcomers in the audience. My name is Chloe, the elected Chief Science Officer from Casa Grande Union High School.
Hi, my name is Merlin, and I'm also the elected Chief Science Officer at Casa Grande Union High School.
So we're here in front of you again because we want to renew the second annual Casa Grande STEAM Fair. We want that to be announced and have that declared because it was awesome. It's really cool.
So we want to talk about what we did last year and our successes and some of our not so successes. So let's go.
So this was the layout of our park. We wanted it to have the different sections separated.
Hold on, ladies. We're trying to figure the microphone.
Because I don't know if your mic's on.
Mine's on, isn't it? Yes, no? Theirs is.
Hello?
There
Okay,
you go.
there, that's better. Okay, thanks.
They're on.
Got it. So this was the layout of the park that the way we set up last year, where we wanted each of the separate sections of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and art. We wanted them to be separated so that people could go through and really see what they all represent. But unfortunately, what happened was it had rained a lot last year at that time, so the E and the A and most of the M, those sections were pretty watered, and we couldn't quite put presentation stands in there or tables because, well, we didn't want to ruin shoes. So we stayed in that middle, that very center area, and the S section and the section next to it, the T, that's what it looks like from here. We really were in those ones, and we used the stage for the most of it, and it worked out well. We had quite a few people in attendance, and our presenters had a lot of fun. It did run longer, and so when we had it run longer, we ran into some very severe wind, which did have a slight effect on audience members who wanted to be there.
And so then on the right is just our promotional flyer that we used to spread the message that, hey, the STEAM Fair is at Pert Park on Saturday. So
what we did last year and what our intent was we wanted people to know what our students were capable of. We wanted to show the city of Casa Grande what our students could do and what they really were, what they could really be, their potential almost, and make Casa Grande a STEAM hub in that sense.
Mm-hmm. And we wanted to make sure that students could get a degree and come back to Casa Grande because there was a job available for them. So they didn't have to outsource to Phoenix or Tucson, even though those cities are great, they're not Casa Grande. So we wanted to make sure that was also part of our intent.
So one of the big things that we learned last year was definitely getting it out as much in advance as you actually can. Meeting people as soon as physically possible and their time allows for is one of the bigger things in allowing bigger companies to be able to commit to an event like this. As long as they have, like, at least what we learned was about 2 months in advance, then they're a lot better and more willing to commit to something like this event. That was one of the big lessons that we learned last year on that.
Yeah, and we didn't utilize social media as much, so we want to make sure that we're doing that this year. We kind of did posters and flyers, and we did word of mouth, but we want to more focus on the social media.
And we learned not everyone reads the newspaper, so
Yeah.
we reached a very limited audience, and we want to expand that. And we are going to attempt through a couple of different methods this year on putting out a lot of materials on, hey, this is what this event looks like. This is what we're going to be doing.
But we are very thankful for our participants and for getting the venue, so it was really nice to have those companies out there supporting us in our intent and showing off what they could do as well.
So this year, our intent is very similar. We want to once again create Casa Grande being that STEAM hub. But not only do we want to showcase our students, but showcase Casa Grande itself. We're looking at inviting other students and other schools from cities like Maricopa and Saskatoon and potentially Toltec, so that they can represent their schools and we can represent Casa Grande here. Because we want Pinal County to eventually be a STEAM hub as well. But what we've realized is that we have to start with Casa Grande. And so that's where we're once again starting.
Yeah, we want to show off what we have because we have amazing things and sometimes people don't know that. So doing that, inviting other cities down will definitely help in that purpose.
So the venue that we were looking at, we were once again considering our previous venue that we've done at Perk Park, but when we were meeting with CAC 2 weeks ago, I believe, one of the parks that they definitely suggested was the Car McNatt Park because it's a newly renovated park, and that means that more of the electrical outlets are more bound to work, and so that was something that we struggled with last year, and so even it just being more in a neighborhood, for example, means that it's a lot easier for families to come out and say, hey, why don't we go to this? Let's see what's going on this weekend at the park. And we want families to come. We want people to be involved. We want it to be a community event.
And last year, APS also told us that their trucks had to be near the library because there was no other space closer to the public. So this will allow that accessibility. So we're definitely looking at this new park.
And then so far, some of our participants that have committed to this are Abbott, and we've talked to CAC. They're a very big partner in this event with us. They are very, very helpful. We really appreciate CAC, and we met with Abbott 2 weeks ago as well.
Yeah, and so obviously our school is a big participant as well. They have our student presenters, whoever can get out there to represent what Casa Grande Union really does.
The day for this event that we are looking is going to be that Saturday, March 7th. It's the first Saturday of March, once again, first week, just different day.
And then it's 10 to 2 p.m.
So our needs. This is something that we realized we really needed to sit down last year and go through. And so Merlin and I have done that this year. One of our big ones is we want a partnership with the city of Casa Grande.
So we want to make sure that we can have the venue and that we have your participation on our Saturday event because we're always happy to see your smiling faces, which makes us happy as well.
Absolutely. Even just coming out and getting to walk around, being there means a lot for us. It really does.
And then we would love a declaration of a STEAM week in Casa Grande for that whole week, so that way we can get the city's knowledge about it and participation, because it only helps if the parents facilitate the students and if the community gets involved in this movement.
And to start with that, we wanted to start with you on that. So we wanted the participation of the city and city departments. If you have, like last year we had the police department work with us at our Friday event, and we got to have them come in and bring in their forensics unit and show students how to do fingerprints, and they got to do their own fingerprint on a water bottle. It was super cool, and we want participation like that.
Yep, so hands-on activities are really important for us. We want to make sure that it's interactive because we don't want students to lose interest, and to know that science can be fun in different ways that they haven't actually realized. It's not just book work if that's what they're not into.
And so by doing that, one of the things that we are creating newer this year is that we are going to have small activities that students can, as they arrive or as children arrive, it's, hey, why don't you sign up for this egg drop or a popsicle stick bridge? And we want to have companies or businesses help facilitate and run those miniature events, and even the city or city departments, for example, so that they are actively hands-on involved with the community and the children of our community. And we're also looking at having a couple of larger events, and the robotics teams of Casa Grande Union High School and Vista Grande. We are also looking at ASU Prep. We have to get in contact with them, but we're going to be running 2 major events throughout the event. One of them is going to be a cardboard chariot race, and the other one is going to be 2 robotics competitions of sumo bots, and then a similar to a Vex game is what we're going to be doing for our big showcase events at this year's event.
Yeah, and our whole intent with this is to make sure that students know that science is applicable in just different ways, and it's really, really not just those bookworks, not just those worksheets. It's more than that. It's the application that can happen. So this is very demonstrative of that. And we also have those smaller activities for the middle schoolers, because this one takes a little bit more preparation and everything like that. But the egg drop is definitely geared towards them.
And so we want the participation of the city. We want people to be involved with our community so that STEM is not just, oh, I'm not super into academics. It's more than just an academic thing. It's a mindset in its own way.
And we would really appreciate any contacts that you have that we can reach out to, because we're always willing to have as many visible at our event, because it makes it that much more fun and that much more available for students and businesses.
Absolutely. We want our students to know that they can follow their dreams and they don't actually have to go other places. They can follow their dreams and find their passions here, because we have those options here in Casa Grande. And our next, one of the bigger things that we realized was a need was one of our students, when they do presentations, a lot of the students want to explore really cool ideas, but they don't always have the money themselves to say, hey, I need to go get dry ice. Well, then we have to have parents say, I can buy one thing of dry ice. And so we'll end up pulling from a fund that we set aside for our STEM advisory committee. And so that we can get some of the students' presentation, like the needs that they have. But we can't always reach all of them, because we don't have enough between our small club and our small fund that we have.
So if it's possible, we'd love financial support, but we always understand that that's not always an option. So as long as we have your participation and the declaration, we'd also be very happy with that as well.
Thank you for your time. Is there none?
Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
How many people are involved in the program?
In the STEM program?
Yeah, in STEAM,
In our STEM program, I believe we have over 60 participants between both sides of our STEM pathway. And we have had 2 or 3 classes of graduated students now, which is really cool.
how long has this been going on?
The STEM program has been going on for about 7 years now. When I joined the STEM program as a freshman, the seniors at the time, I believe that was one of the first official classes of who'd been in the STEM program all 4 years and was graduating. And so those students are now in their junior year of college, and they're doing extremely well.
Wasn't that the STEAM fair, the first year was last year, wasn't it?
Yes, the citywide STEAM fair, last year was our first year. But we have an annual STEAM fair that goes on on our high school on that Friday, and this will be our 8th annual STEAM fair.
Well, you two could teach marketing in college.
Thank you.
Any comments?
You're very good at it.
And,
you.
and I just wanted to compliment, their teacher, John Morris, is back here. And John, can you stand up? Because, he's done so much for this community and the school, and he taught all of my girls and so many students, and they've gone on to do some fantastic things. So, you guys have done such a great job, and I just really compliment, all the support from your parents to push you and support you, and then also Mr. Morris and all the other teachers there.
Without our parents and our teachers, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Mary?
I like the idea that you're going to be including some of the feeder schools from around in Maricopa, and that it's just going to get bigger and better by a group of people. No, that's great.
We realize that because as CSOs, we have a region, and Arizona is divided up into regions. And at our regional meeting, we have 3 CSOs from Maricopa, and it's us. And so at that meeting, we had our regional meeting about a week and a half ago. And so sitting down, it really hit us last year that there's about 5 of us for the entire region of Pinal County. And there are 21 school districts in Pinal County alone. And so for us, we wanted to change that number. We wanted more CSOs. And we wanted to foster communication between Maricopa and Casa Grande, and Toltec and Casa Grande. And so to do that, we wanted to invite them to our STEAM fair and help create that relationship so that our students know that there's a STEM school and that we have that relationship with them.
Yeah, and we also heard that some of the middle schoolers aren't excited about their science fair projects because it's more generic, or they can't do as much because they don't have as much resources. So this is kind of our chance to show them that, hey, science is more applicable than sometimes you learn in just a classroom basis.
There's STEM in everything, whether it's the bed that you got up out of this morning that was designed by an engineer, to the cereal that you're eating that could be genetically modified. There's science and STEM in everything, and that's one of our big things that we show our students every year.
Good point. Good point.
No.
Question for you, on the financial support, do you guys have a wish list of sorts of what you need outlined so that we could have a copy of that?
That is something that we are currently working on, because when we went to the meeting with Abbott, that was one of the things they suggested, was to create a list so that a business or a company or even just participants could say, hey, I can donate this much. I can get water bottles. I can get the eggs and so something like that was definitely suggested, and we are currently working on that. And when we get that finalized, we can absolutely send that.
That would be great, thank you.
You guys, anybody?
Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do have a couple comments. One is, do you have a time on March 7th?
Yes. March 7th is from 10 to 2, the Saturday event, and then our school event is from 8 to 3.
And that's on that Friday before?
Yes. So that's March 6th.
March 6th? And what
6th.
time is that again?
8 to 3.
And is that at Union?
Casa Grande Union High School.
Union? And then, the proclamation's not a problem. Just get that to the city clerk. In fact, we may have one from the one that we did last year, so you may just need to resend it, and we can reissue that. And then our contacts, my suggestion would be to get with our PIO, and she's right back up there. Just wave, and then get her assistance, and you can catch her through the switchboard here. But she's got, and then she can also help you get the word out too. You can put it in some of our communications that we send out. Yeah, as many different forms of communication that you can use, you need to use. The newspaper is just one form, and people do read the newspaper, but you have to get people off the couch to come to your event. Okay, so it's not just, it's about motivating people. And so they get motivated in different ways, and I think it's brilliant that you invite the other schools, because if you invite the kids, the parents will follow. And so that's how you'll get a lot of people to attend. It's like our Mosaic Festival. The Mosaic Festival was successful because we invited all the elementary schools, and their parents and grandparents came with the kids. So there's different ways to get people off the couch, right? So, and that's all I have, but just keep up the good work. I know I think I was at your event last year. In fact, I came to the high school as well as the fair, and it was a lot of fun. The robotics teams were there, and yeah, so it was a lot of fun. So I would encourage anybody who wants to go, they should go. It's a good event. So.
He was a marketing major also.
All right. So thank you guys, and keep up the good work.
There is a video that I believe they are trying to play right now. It was a video that we took last year when we were at the Saturday event as a Facebook Live. Hey, this is what's going on. These are what our students are doing. And it was kind of like an interview of a lot of the presenters so that the public could see what was going on. One of our parents so kindly did so.
All right.
Okay.
Let's watch it.
We are out here today for the first annual STEAM Festival for the city of Casa Grande. You should come on.
Check out some of our wonderful displays that we have. We've got our Lemelson MIT Invent teams are here to demonstrate their project. We've got our FLL students out here for first Lego League. Hi Merlin, how are you?
Pretty good, how are you?
Would you like to tell the public about coming out today?
Yes, we'd love to see you here. It's our STEAM Day, it's our first annual one, so please support us. We're trying to make STEAM education risen up in our community and the support that we need for it. And so we have amazing people here and a lot of cool booths. And Lemelson MIT is selling, so please come out and support them too.
That's awesome.
Who might that be?
We are here at Kirk Park in Casa Grande. We've got our Casa Grande Fire Department. APS is out here. We have Central Arizona College out here with promoting all of the STEM activities for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We have our robotics for VEX teams out here. We have our ASU SciTech Festival booth here. Hello. Would you like to tell our community to come out and visit us today?
Yeah, absolutely.
We were one of 4,000 events all across the state of Arizona, so come on and enjoy it.
Here we go. There's lots of great activities for kids to do as they come on out and enjoy and show off some of our great students who have put together activities in their science fair projects. So come out and say hello. We have some wonderful booths out here. We've got some homemade jewelry. Actually not homemade, but it's gorgeous. Handmade. Handmade. And it is beautiful. I was looking for a That is Acorn Oaks. And you can find her on Etsy. I can find you on Etsy? Yes. Yes, let's come on in. There we go. I'm on live.
Hi. So I have these two here. You take care of the cars, right?
There we go. That's awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
We are inviting our public to come out and say hello, visit all of our vendors. You can come and see some dry ice bubbles.
Yeah.
We've got bacteria mortality. We have in-spirit gymnastics that are out here today to showcase their talent. Once again, we are out here for the first annual Casa Grande STEAM Festival. Please come out and join us.
We would love to have you here. It would be amazing. So please come and see us. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Because after that, it's just my little brother coming up and saying, "Hey, Mom, come."
All right, very good. Thank you, ladies. All right. Well, after that amazing presentation, Chief, it's your turn.
Good luck following that, Chief.
The last thing you want to do is follow two young geniuses. But it does say a lot about the future. Right. We're in good hands.
That's right.
I brought some backup tonight for two reasons. Number one, I brought Kim and Amy's in the back in case you had any questions that I couldn't answer, and I knew they'd be able to bail me out. But more importantly, I think sometimes it's important for y'all to get to see the people that actually do all the work and where we get the credit for, and that keep us moving forward as a department and keep us moving forward as a city. And these two ladies, along with Cindy Irby, who couldn't be here tonight, have worked unbelievably on this project, and as you'll see here in a little bit, put us a year ahead of schedule and put us in a very good position. So I think it's important that you get to see them and maybe put a face with a name. So we're here to kind of give an overview, a quick glimpse of the uniform crime reporting. Currently, it's in a changing format, and I'll get to that in a minute. But within a year, everybody in the country has to change how they report crimes. So, what is uniform crime reporting? Well, the intellectual definition is a collective effort on the part of the city, county, state, tribal, and federal law enforcement agencies to present a nationwide view on crime. And what that means, really to break it down, the whole purpose of that is it produces a nationwide view based upon the statistics. It provides a common language so that when we're reporting a robbery, we're reporting the robbery the same way as any other place in the country. And it's not just that, but for all statutes, actually. And it allows for the federal government to publish a yearly crime in the United States and other trend releases, and it makes sure that it's consistent. So that, again, so that if we're reporting it one way, everybody in the country is reporting it the same way. There's two ways that that's currently being done. The most common way, and the way that most places are still doing it, is a UCR summary. And what that is that counts one crime per incident. And that's based on the hierarchy of the crime. So if somebody goes in and does a robbery and then punches two people on the way out and then steals a car, that's reported as one incident, one robbery. Well, the UCR NIBRS, which stands for the National Incident-Based Reporting System, that counts every crime associated with every incident. And that allows for oh, I thought you were doing that, Steve. You did it for them.
You gotta work.
So on January 1st, 2021, the FBI is going to retire the UCR summary reporting and will start collecting statistics only through the NIBRS method. And that's going to be the only nationwide format that any department in the country can report crimes. So the benefits of that is it provides specific details of the crime activity being reported. It'll include property loss, gang affiliation, victimization. It'll help us be able to detect crime trends and suspects a lot sooner because there's more information collected, more data collected. A greater focus and identification of victim groups. And it helps identify the drug, alcohol, and computer involvement with crime because currently they would be the lesser crimes in an incident and they're not being reported. So how we got ready for this. We decided as a department that we wanted to be ahead of the curve and get all the bugs out of the system before we had no choice but to go to the NIBRS system. So with the purchase of our new record management system, the Tyler New World, we were able to choose NIBRS as our crime reporting for UCR purposes. To do this, we had to train our entire staff, civilian and all our officers. We had to set up data fields in the new RMS, and we had to fix incorrect entries. And really what we had to do with the data fields is the old system didn't really collect enough data. And even though it had the capability, we had to get our new system so that it would collect enough data to fit into the NIBRS format. The incorrect entry part of that is we had to teach our officers, I say we, it was Kim and Amy, had to teach our officers how to report incidents correctly and get enough information into the system so that the NIBRS could pull it out and so we'd be able to report under the NIBRS system. Also our goal obviously was to get certified by AZDPS under the NIBRS system. And the next slide, it says, is the Casa Grande PD ready? Well, yes, we are. And like I said earlier, we're a year ahead of this mandated deadline. On August 27th, 2019, we received official notification from AZDPS that we were certified as only the 9th agency out of 100 agencies in Arizona for the NIBRS system. We completed the updates to our records management system to meet all the system requirements. And we, as I mentioned earlier, we trained our entire department on gathering that information. The next slide is really one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure that you all are at least a little bit aware as we transition into this. If you look at that slide and take January, for instance, if you look under January, the old way of reporting, we had 120 incidents. But if you report on, as the NIBRS way, we have 302 incidents because it reports everything that happened in that incident. So it could give the appearance, if people weren't aware of what the NIBRS system is actually set up to do, that crime is tripled. When in fact, we still have the exact same amount of incidents, but we've just drilled down to get all the crimes and all the information from that incident. And if you can look at both the graphs, you can see they trend in the same way. It's just the NIBRS system captures so much more from an incident that their numbers are obviously higher. To give you an example of that, if officers respond to a call of an assault and the suspect punched the victim during an argument and we end up arresting this subject and was found to have marijuana and a pipe in his pocket, for the new or for the old way of doing it, we have one incident, one crime, simple assault. So the drugs and the paraphernalia, they don't get reported. They get charged with them, but they don't come up under our stats. Under the NIBRS system, we have 3 crimes that occurred in that. We have the assault, we have the possession of marijuana, and we have the possession of drug paraphernalia. So it looks like, when you look at the numbers, it looks like maybe crime is on the rise, but in fact, like I said, it is, the most important point of that is all the incidents remain the same. We're just drilling down more so we can get more information for crime fighting and be ahead of the curve come the time when the mandate kicks in. So I know that was a real quick overview of that. So if you have any follow-up questions, Kim would really like to answer.
Go ahead, Bob.
Kim. I noticed we had that one slide where the NIBRS compared to UCR was examined. Is there going to be more than a 1-year time frame that we're going to record both so that we can accurately compare this year to last year to the year before?
So the FBI through 2020 will actually do that on their end. So even though we just report NIBRS to the state and to the federal government will actually break that down and make those comparisons so people can tell that, you know, if we had stayed with the, you know, Uniform Crime Reporting Summary, that this is what it would be, but because we're reporting NIBRS. So that information, we won't be collecting the information that way, but it will be available out there.
Okay, thank you.
I had the same question, but what is the advantage to breaking down each of the crimes? Can you just give me an example where it might be an advantage to know, well, this guy had marijuana and he had marijuana paraphernalia and he punched a guy? So what's the advantage to knowing that? I'm just curious.
The main advantage, especially with just the offenses, which are, you know, your marijuana, your drug paraphernalia, assaults and stuff like that, is we'll be able to look at, okay, is there a trend of people that are like maybe doing drugs, you know, having more assault charges or robbery charges or stuff like that. NIBRS also drills down a lot into victimization, the kind of property, stuff like that the UCR summary didn't.
So just break it down a little bit more.
It breaks it down a little bit more, and it's easier to analyze that way. So.
Anybody else have any questions?
Kind of a follow-up on your question. So if you can clarify, so the FBI is going to track both until 2021. And so for us, because I don't know about you guys, but in a year from now, I might forget exactly, you know, these comparisons. So will you just have like an asterisk on our part, just so we know, how are we going to see it on our reports? Or do we get reports from the FBI when you're reporting? If we ask for data, what the statistics are, do you have your own report you're giving us or the FBI report? I'm just a little confused on the 2 reports.
So the FBI every year puts out a yearly data, and usually it's usually about June or July because it takes them a while to catch up. So like 2019 stuff won't be available till about June or July, but that's definitely something that's easy enough to pull. If you guys would like to look at that, if you remind us, or maybe if we remember to put it in, like I know the yearly report or whatever.
I think it's important to have an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Because I'm worried that someone might get a hold of it and so
there's 2
show
different
Casa Grande's
reports.
crime has increased 200%. You know, in fact, it hasn't.
Yeah, and the nice thing is because by 2021, January 2021, everybody will have to be reporting that way across the nation. It's going to look like everybody's crime went up, because I know a lot of times there's that stuff that comes out that Casa Grande's the 10th worst.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Mayor, this will really be the only year we need to really do that, because from now on, then everything will come out as that. And like Kim said, it's real. Records or Cindy, it's easy for them to pull those numbers, just like, I mean, they pulled the numbers just for this graph to do that comparison. So that's not going to be an issue with us to get that information out so you can compare both. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to be ahead of the curve. We kind of wanted to ease into this, because if we waited till January, number one, we would have had a lot of probably a lot of errors that we needed to fix, which has thrown us even further behind the curve. But this way, we figured if we got certified early enough, we would have a year to do things on our social media, talk to people, you know, in our advisory board, things like that, in our meetings that we go to, and council and city leaders, other city leaders, to kind of bring everybody up to speed on it, on a crash course, so that people weren't panicking or assuming that all of a sudden crime just went through the roof.
Okay.
Good.
I'm sorry, just a quick question on the training. How did you all train staff on that?
So it started out when we first, last November, we decided, okay, we need to get on this ball game. And so it started out actually with the crime analyst in the records section, really delving into what was it going to take, what requirements, working with our RMS system to get everything on board. And then after that, it was a lot of, you know, going to the officers, whether it was in briefings or through email trainings or whatever, and just letting them know that this is the information we have to have. And as for the records department, we've really had to stay on top of, we can't accept it if it's not NIBRS compliant. So we, you know, if we have to reject reports or do more officer training or whatever, just to make sure, so records kind of make sure that everything's NIBRS compliant, so that when we submit that we don't have errors or a lot of errors, so.
Did you have to change your templates and things like that for the reporting, the reports and stuff like that, or?
No, we had to add a couple of extra fields to capture the data that was necessary on the RMS section, but other than changing the templates, like how the officers look at it, it didn't change any of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Powell?
It looks like we've been underestimating the amount of crime since 2 or 3 incidents that were criminal that happened were counted as one. And I can see how there would be a difference there, but it seems like this would certainly identify trends more when you find out. And, you know, you find in a lot of guys that have the marijuana or gang affiliation or whatever it might be, it'd be a lot more insightful.
Yes.
Bob?
One more question, and you've kind of touched on it in a couple of your answers, but the data entry, is that accomplished at the officer level while they're putting their report in? And is that data compatible with all the softwares? Do we have to do any repeat data entries to work with this, with the RMS, and with the DDAX?
No, so the way our system works is write the reports in the part of the system that's called mobile. That then ends up in LERMS, which is the records management system, but it's all, there's no re-entry. It's not like, I mean, I know you remember when we had to, literally the officer would write it and then us in records would have to retype it in. It's all done at their level, and then the sergeants check over that, and then records checks over that to make sure everything's compliant before it actually gets put into the RMS system. But it's all pretty seamless. It all
wonderful.
blends together.
That's wonderful.
Great. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, also, in the back there. All right. Well, we have 20 minutes before city council starts, so we'll adjourn till then.